Good morning and welcome to another great edition of Money Truth Moments with our very own expert, our very own, I'm going to say wisdom giver, sharer, Judy Copenbarger. How are you?
I'm honored. I'm honored. It's nice to see you. I am doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. And as always, it's always good to see you. I'm always amazed. It's just how your background just looks very serene, very peaceful, and just a great way to start the show for sure.
Awesome. Well, I love living here. This is actually my backyard. So,
Awesome.
yeah, I am loving every day. And this time of year is my favorite. The trees are waking up, the flowers are blooming. It's just awesome. So
Beautiful.
happy. Yeah.
All right, folks, if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. Make sure that you are following Judy at judycopenbarger.today, where you're going to get all the relevant content to today's finance world and then some. Again, all of our social media links are there as well. And we just finished a series on the B word. For those of you that don't know what that B word is, it's budgeting. And today we're going to move, it almost seems like we're moving, kind of working our way through the alphabet, because today we have the D word, which is debt, right? Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
So we have a jam-packed show today. So make sure that you share the stream as well too. And what do you say we get started?
I am ready. There's nothing like fundamentals. Yeah, what was that Coach Wooden, that used to say, okay, these professional basketball players. And he said, okay, we're going to tie our shoes. We're going to put on our socks, all the fundamentals. I feel like the B and the D words, budget and debt, are two of the fundamentals. When you master those, everything else is easy. So we're going to do a deep dive here on debt. Are you ready?
Let's do it, because this is going to address a lot of questions that folks have talked about even after the budgeting series as well.
Yeah. So one thing, usually when I hear somebody who's kind of in trouble, they're already up to here. They're just sinking in this, and their whole spending plan has been taken over by debt repayment and interest and the cost of borrowing. And sometimes it's not for their own fault. Sometimes it's not for their own decisions. Sometimes it's just things happen. You lose a job. COVID happens. The circumstances change. You have triplets. It's not a bad reason. It's a great reason. But anytime you run out of money before you run out of month, it's going to end up on a credit card. And those credit cards, can be costly. And then it kind of mounts. And it's like, well, now I have more money coming from my spending plan every month. And then it just kind of snowballs. So what's cool about the snowball effect is it goes both ways. It's easy to accumulate debt. It's also easy to get rid of it. So I just wanted to get into some of the strategies for eliminating debt if you have it. Really, there are three methods. One is, we just talked about it, the snowball method. And that's where you line up all your debts and you get, first of all, you've got to get your mindset. You believe that you deserve to not have debt. The second thing is you've got to really look at it and be honest. And this is one thing that I see can be an issue with couples. This one's kind of hiding these credit card balances, and this one's kind of hiding these credit card balances, and they never really get a good look at exactly every month what is owed. What are we actually paying in interest? What is actually owed? And if you don't look at it, you can't fix it. You can throw money at it, but you can't really fix it. So that's the first thing. But then, the first method, or one of the three methods, you got to pick the one that works for you, is the snowball method. And that's where you pay off the smallest one first. And let's say your minimum payment on the smallest one is only like $20 a month. After it's paid off, because that'll go quickly, it's that instant gratification. Then you take the $20 or more that you were paying on that one and you add it to the next one. And then you take those two payments you were making and add it to the next one. And it goes faster and faster and it goes away. That's one way to do it. Now, if you are kind of a fiscal thinker and you're thinking, what's the smartest way dollar-wise to do it? You want to take the highest interest credit cards and pay those off first, or move them to a credit card that has zero or very low interest. And if you do that, well, I'll talk to you about negotiating too. We got to talk about that. If you just look at what it is today, you've got credit cards and they all have a certain interest, 2.99, 3.99. Why it's always 99, I don't know. 29.99, 33.99. Are you kidding me? You might as well just pay triple for whatever you bought. And so you take those, you line them up, and you pay the highest interest rate credit card first. So that's another method that works. So whatever it is, though, you got to get with your spouse, your significant other, whoever you do money with in your life, and look at it honestly, and then pick a method and do it.
So the snowball effect is something that I've heard before, and it sounds so simple, but yet we don't apply it. And I think when you're going to talk about the credit cards and things like that on the APR, I've got a story to share with you as well too when it comes to as an example, because it was just an eye opener, and I don't think a lot of people really realize that. Especially when you see all these great advertisements for cars for different things, zero money down, like you don't have to make zero payments or low APR for the next 60 months or whatever. And there's so much that goes behind that, and I can't wait for you to talk about that as well too.
Absolutely. And one thing that is kind of the elephant in the room is any method you pick will work, but it only works if you're not adding to that debt on the other end, right? You've got to decide, okay, I'm not going to use my cards now, even for convenience. Maybe I don't have the discipline to do it right now. So I'm just going to use cash method. If I can't afford the pizza, I'll wait until I can, right? So you can't be adding more debt while you're paying it down. That doesn't work. You've got to have a number, and that number needs to come down every paycheck or every month. That's the one elephant in the room. It's like, yay, we paid off 200, but you added 400 this month.
Right.
Like, let's get real about it. So that's one thing. Another thing that people are unaware of how negotiable these debts are, especially consumer credit debt. It might be a little bit less wiggle room, like for car purchases, boat purchases, things like that, major purchases. But for consumer credit, like credit cards, everybody knows about the credit cards. For those, they are negotiable. And so if you get to a point where your spending plan is like at its max, and you've only got 500 discretionary dollars a month, and your debt service is 800 a month, it's not going to happen. It's not sustainable. So if you lay that out and make a little spreadsheet or the back of a napkin, however you calculate at your house, and you call the creditors, you call the Visa company, you call the MasterCard company, the banks that hold these cards, and you say, look, I just can't do that. I can't afford that interest. I can't afford that payment. Will you work with me and give me a payment plan that I can work with to get this done? Even if it's 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. I mean, if you've really dug yourself a hole, it might take a while. And then, you might add to that your car payment. Now you have a new lease that you didn't have before for housing, and you've got student loans, right? So all of a sudden the debt is kind of piling up. If you just explain what you have and ask them to reduce your interest rate or reduce your monthly, often they will do that, more often than not. It's surprising, but you just have to be able to honestly lay out, here are my numbers. I'm doing what I can. It's just not sustainable. I can't do it. We got to eat. I got kids, whatever. So that's one thing, negotiating. Another thing is people often feel like they're stuck with their income, like they're limited with their income. I would say in this country, no one is limited with their income. No one. And it doesn't matter if you have special needs. It doesn't matter if you have disabilities, mental disabilities, physical disabilities. Everyone has the ability in this country to make more money. Everybody. And I know there are people that are within the sound of my voice that are saying, yeah, but you don't know my story. You don't know my circumstances. I'm different. I can't get more money. I don't believe it. There's always a way. And if you look at all the success stories, all of the people that have made it beyond all odds, it's possible. I think where people get stuck is they have that limited thinking. It's like, well, maybe they did it, but they're special. I can't do it. And usually it comes down to, I can't do it because I haven't seen it done before. I don't believe I deserve that. Everybody deserves for their spending plan to work, that B word, right? The budget to line up, for them to be able to pay off their debt, to dig out of a hole, to be free and live a life that they want financially, which is a tool that we use, right? To do things in life that make it quality life, ideal life, I would call it. Everybody has that ability. Everybody has something to offer other people that can be monetized. Everybody does. It might be, selling cupcakes on your street. You hear all the businesses that have done that. It might be solving a problem at your house that other people have that problem too, and they'll pay to have it solved. And it doesn't mean you have to go, overseas and, make this widget and figure out how to manufacture it and patent it. It might be something that fancy, but it might be just something. Maybe you have things in your garage that you don't need anymore, but somebody else would love to have. So our junk is their treasure, right?
Mhm.
So everybody has an idea that somebody wants to hear about. You go online, you publish your own book. If you can type or you know somebody who can, you can get the words out and publish your own book that people would be happy to read and pay for. Right. And if there's more than a few people, there's more than a few dollars that can come in. Everybody's got something. So when people say, oh, I just, you don't understand, I can't make any money. It's like, well, open your mind to other ways to make money. And there are several podcasts, several shows where we just drill down on what to do when you need more money in your month, how to get that. And there's really only 3 ways when you're short to do that. So look that up. You can probably just Google in my, search in my stuff, 3 ways, and it will come up. It's a science. You make more, you spend less, or you sell something. That's the only way, or a combination of those 3. And that's the only way. And everybody has a way that they can get more. So increasing income, one of the best ways to manage debt, even if it's temporary and it's just to pay off that debt to get free again, get your spending plan back in the black. You can do that.
So, folks, thanks for joining us. If you're just catching up with us, we are talking about debt management. So make sure you watch the beginning of the show. Got a lot of great content, and I don't want to waste too much time on this transition, but follow Judy at Judy Copenbarger today, because I've got some follow-up questions, and I know we're going to run out of time. I think that we're probably going to have to do a part 2 on this as well, too. So talk a little bit about, we're talking about credit card debt, right? We're talking about putting things in finance. And I'm going to give you a really quick example. There was a friend of mine that was looking to purchase something major. It was close, probably about 7-8 grand, something like that. And what they said was, hey, right now we have this great opportunity for you to be able to come in here with 0 down. You can finance this, for the next 60 months at a very low APR. What they call low is probably about 8 or 7, whatever it is on there. And then I said to them, I said, have you really looked what, and again, this is from the wisdom that I've learned listening from you on the show, right? Which comes in great. So I said, have you really looked at, okay, you have a set number of payments for 60 months plus the interest on top of that. Have you really looked how much that's going to cost you at the end of 5 years? And when you look at those numbers, it's like, okay, I'm paying 8,000 if I paid out cash, but if I wait 5 years, now it's almost like triple. I'm paying almost close to 30 grand. And I'm saying, so look at the difference on that, right? Is it worth your a $7,000 or $8,000 item worth 30,000 5 years later? And if, I've always had the mindset from what we learned, if you can't afford it, then don't buy it, and get yourself into that debt. But that story is leading me into also for you to be able to share with us a little bit about frugal living, right? Living within your means. So you want to share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. And you talk about this debt item, $8,000. I'm thinking maybe it was a used car. I don't know. But sometimes you have to use debt. Debt and leverage are 2 different things. Debt and leverage are 2 different things. That's one thing. But it might have been a vehicle that somebody needed to use for their family or to go to work to get money. So now it's a tool that they need to use. And sometimes you have to if you don't have it. But ideally, once you get up and you get out of debt, part of your spending plan is planning not just for this month but for the future. So at some point I'm going to need to replace my vehicle or maintain my vehicle or repair or put new tires on it or something. I'm going to have to do something. It's going to take money. Where's it going to come from? Is it going to come from a credit card that I have to pay interest on, or to your credit, right? You can think ahead and it's like, what if I paid cash? It's way better. It'll be like the actual cost, not 3 or 4 times the cost because of the interest. So what I like to encourage people to do is once they recover from debt, if that's something they're digging out from, get it back up to 0. And then every month put in your spending plan a line item for a future purchase. So what if instead of making a car payment of $300 where 75 of it goes to interest, what if all 300 went to your car payment? So you pretend like you have a car payment when you don't, before you need the car. and 300 a month goes into your car savings, and next month 300 a month goes into your car savings, and next month 300 a month goes into your car savings. Pretty soon you have enough. Maybe it's not for a cash purchase the first time, but if you have this habit, you'll have enough at least for a large down payment. So you have a manageable interest low or interest free car payment for a while. And then you keep doing the same thing. You take whatever that car payment is because it's lower than anticipated or planned, and you take the difference and you put that every month into your next car purchase bucket, right? And so when you purchase that car, pretty soon you'll be buying everything cash like that, all the major purchases cash. And then you're not helping fund all of these banks, that are charging you this interest. So I love that. That was a great point that you made. Absolutely. Cash all the way once you get to the point where you can do that.
Right. And so, as we're also talking about this, just very quickly, I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but I think it's also important because right now seniors are getting ready to graduate, and this may be an additional show that we do. But one of the key things that you've talked about previously too is when kids get to college and then walk in, it's almost like an open market for like, hey, come and join this credit card, get this credit card, and all of that. So maybe you can give us some best practices for some of the youth or parents that are currently listening right now that can help their kids not get into this massive debt right out of the gate.
Yeah, just talk to them. Just like say no. Say no to drugs, say no to all the things that are going to come at them. Probably already have if they survived high school, right? And debt's going to be one of them. Maybe they haven't been exposed in high school, but they definitely are going to get it walking across the quad with all the tables out there. Free candy bar, free t-shirts, just sign up for this thing. Oh, it's free money. Now I can go get pizza. It's free. No, it's not free. They're charging you interest and now somebody's going to have to pay. Talk to your kids about that. Let them know that's coming. The cost, like that great example about it's going to cost you 3 times for that t-shirt or for that pizza or for that major purchase. Why would you do that when you can do it on your own? Now, the other side of that is I think young adults, especially, 17, 18, 19-year-olds and plus, they do need to establish credit. And there's a very reasonable way to do that, either under the covering of a parent's credit where they get a card and they have $500 they can use, and they should make small purchases and pay them over time to establish credit. Maybe they can get their own credit card. I know Chase is pretty good at young people getting credit cards in their own credit initially. And it's going to be a $300 or a $500 card, but they can charge $50, pay it off over a few months, charge $50, pay it off over a few months. Now they've established a credit history. And that will help them when they go to lease their own apartment or purchase their car or do whatever they're going to do. They're going to need that credit card. So those are things like I don't ever say, no, credit's bad. Don't have a credit card. We need them. Really, how are you going to shop for anything or rent a car, or do life, travel, without a credit card? So we do need them as a tool, but we don't need them with a balance. So as a parent, talk to your kids, warn them about that. If kids have always just had, manna fall from heaven and all the expenses were paid and money just shows up, they don't really have the experience of spending. And for most people, it's not that they don't save and it's not that they aren't good at creating wealth. They just don't know how to allocate and spend money. So they need to practice. So help them practice, give them a little card and let them pay it off every month and show them how that works. That would be really great. And I would love to do an episode or two to help these young adults launch. I think that'd be really valuable.
I think absolutely, and we'll definitely schedule something for that too, especially now, like I said, seniors are getting ready to graduate and so forth. So there's a lot of these things that are going to be coming up. And speaking of coming up, we're at one of our favorite parts of the show, which is the tail end of the show. You know what that means, folks. It is our Money Truth Moment Challenge. So what are you going to drop on us today?
Here's the challenge. Pen and paper, pull out something that you can write on. There's something valuable about writing. It goes from your mind down your arm to your hand to the paper. There's something magical about that. But I would write down if you do have an issue in your spending plan where the debt is too high or you just don't like it at all and it just keeps rolling over. Write down what you can do about that. Maybe you're in that spot where you're digging out, What creditors can you call to negotiate down the payments or negotiate down the interest, or both? Who in your life can use this information that you can work with? Maybe there's a young adult in your life, or not a young adult, someone that just is always spinning with debt. I always just can't get ahead. Help them with this knowledge that you have now, and just have the courage to write it down, face it, and get a plan. I think a lot of times it's these young adults, 20s and 30s even, that they just kind of got in this cycle and couldn't dig out. So who in our life can we help with that? So my purpose with the challenges is always to help you take this information and make it relevant and meaningful in your life, to either help you and your family or people that you care about, or both. So that's your challenge. Make a difference with debt. If debt's not an issue for you or anyone you know, God bless you. That is wonderful. If that's the case, if you had that line item, what can we do better with that line item? Money that used to go to debt or could go to debt. What can we do with that to foster some growth and more wealth accumulation? That's your challenge. Have a great week.
All right, folks, take care. We're at the end of the show, but make sure that you do follow Judy at judycopenbarger.today. Don't forget, join us every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. with the replay on Thursdays at 8 p.m. And until next week, we got another great topic, so you better tune in and share the stream. Take care, Judy.
Have a great week. Bye-bye.